Hey there, if you are a parent, or maybe you're just of a certain age and you love Disney movies, you probably have heard Let It Go a million times.
5 million times.
You've probably seen Frozen so many times you have it memorized. But you will not believe, really the only reason...
The absolute only reason.
...this movie got made. We've got that story coming up. You got to stay with us. Well, we've all gathered here together again, getting into 2023. It's hard to imagine 2023.
I remember graduating high school going, the world will explode before we get to the year 2000.
It's crazy. And now I'm sure you've seen a little bonus meme for you before we get to the internet stuff later. This has been flying around. It's an old movie that Sean Connery was in.
Oh, yes.
So this picture, of course, is from
the movie Untouchables.
Yes, this is why he won the Oscar.
Yes.
Strictly because he's willing to wear this costume. No, this movie was called Zardoz, and it took place in 2023.
So this is what everybody's going to be dressing like, so get ready.
Go ahead, get out there and grab your red banana hammock.
Or whatever it is.
Everything else you need for that. So it's kind of awesome. But we hope you're having a great New Year so far. So what did everybody do? I mean, we didn't really get to talk about what did you do for New Year's Eve? What did you do for New Year's? Did you guys do anything?
We were going to go to a party and then decided against it. And we had Lily with us and everything. And then I talked everybody into letting me go to sleep.
Oh.
And I said, hey, about 11:45 or so, y'all come in and wake me up. And we'll all sing. And they were like, great idea. So I went to bed. And then they woke me up just in time to see the end of the football game and the ball drop. And then I took some pictures with them and then I went back to bed.
Big boss dad mode unlocked.
I was pretty pleased with myself.
That's pretty impressive. We were going to go to the same party you guys were going to go to, and then it just didn't really work out. And the weather was kind of it was super foggy.
And you know,
it didn't want to be out on the road.
I can tell I'm getting old because it wasn't. We would have had a designated driver, of course. I mean, Lily would have done that,
obviously.
But
what are 13-year-olds for?
Exactly. I was more concerned about driving with other people on the road. Yeah. I was like, you know what? I'd rather not risk having you two out on the road this late at night on New Year's because I see how many idiots are out there.
You played it like you cared about their well-being.
Yes.
That's true. It's too crazy. It's too dangerous. So yeah, we just did. We stayed home and we flipped around and kind of checked out all the different specials. And I don't know if you follow us on Instagram, but I posted some pictures of the dogs. We made all the dogs wear hats and stuff, and then we threw those things up. And it was just a nice night. And I have to say, I know for years, and I love that it's still branded as Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve.
Yes.
And that was always the thing. You had to watch that if you were going to be home. But now everybody's got their own specials. I know NBC did. I think NBC was the Miley Cyrus one.
Yes.
And then ABC, of course, did the Dick Clark one. I don't know what CBS. Oh, CBS did the Nashville one.
Yes.
I saw a little bit of that. Some of it was good. Some of it was eh. And then CNN's become famous for having Anderson Cooper and
Cohen
and Andy Cohen on and just getting drunk. So I don't know. We didn't really watch much of that. If I want to watch somebody get drunk, I just look in the mirror.
Exactly. I can do this at home.
We have us. Why do I need to watch somebody else do this? But I was actually quite surprised, pleasantly, with the Miley Cyrus special. She did a great job. She sounded good on the stuff she sang. Dolly Parton was on there basically co-hosting it with her.
And Dolly's what, 74, 75? Something sounds like great.
Still sounds great. Got out some great comedy. They had some good lines out there. And I just love the guest. She had Sia, who was an incredible singer. And maybe my favorite, David Byrne.
Yes, Talking Heads.
Now, growing up, I was not a huge Talking Heads fan, but I really learned to appreciate them as I got older. But it was funny. A friend of ours is young, and she posted, it looks like somebody forgot to come to practice because, it's a weird thing to watch him perform on stage. And so I had to kind of educate her that, hey, look, without him and his style of music and everything he did, you wouldn't have LCD Sound System, you wouldn't have Arcade Fire, you wouldn't have Franz Ferdinand. I mean, a lot of great current bands that look at Talking Heads, and I think she accepted my chiding.
Was she saying he sounded bad, or she just didn't get his bit?
I'm not sure what the situation was. She says it looks like somebody didn't come to practice.
Okay, because Ronnie Dunn had some trouble too because of the monitors and technical stuff. There's a lot going on at New Year's. I wouldn't perform if I was them.
It'd be tough, yeah. David Byrne sounded good. He sounded like he sounds, and he performed a couple of times on that show. It looks great, sounds great. Is his a voice that you want to sit down and just go and listen to? Probably not.
He crushed it on SNL a year or two ago.
Yeah, I mean the guy is a genius. So Anyway, that was pretty much our thing. And then, of course, we had to sit around and curse all of our horrible neighbors who like to shoot off fireworks, even though it's absolutely against the law. My poor little, one of my dogs, she's gotten worse as she's gotten older, but Betty, who's already fighting cancer, who's fighting a terrible urinary tract infection, and now she's got to deal with idiots firing off fireworks.
I do hate that for the pets. Even our Bailey was a little scared, and we were having to hold her and everything. But you know what? Our friend Damien made a great comment, too. He goes, if you know your neighborhood's going to shoot off fireworks and you know any veterans in the area, go warn them. Go tell them. Say, hey, just so you know. He goes, because they may not be ready for that.
Yeah, it has an effect on people and animals for sure. And it's one thing, if you're in a place where it's legal to do so, but to not care about other people and to not care about the law.
Yeah, that's narcissism. That's nobody minds.
It doesn't.
Lighten up.
It's no big deal. It's just one night. Boy, if I could say what I wanted to say. All right, so we've talked a lot about White Lotus. You actually, in a very rare switch, because normally Katie and I are getting through things, but you got through both seasons.
Yes.
What was your final review on it?
I like season 2 better, but it was never a show that I was like, this is the greatest show I've ever seen. I've got to watch it. But it kept my attention going, well, I'm going to watch another one because I want to see how this ends. Yeah. And I'm going to watch season 3. So I don't, it's weird because I don't want to say I love it, but I watch it closely enough to want to see the next season. Yeah, well, we finally got on board. We finished season 1, and they're short seasons, and we just started season 2. And I'm the same. It's not something where I'm like, oh my God, I've got to do this. But then I found myself, well, I got to finish this. We'll turn the next one on just for a few minutes. Yes.
So somehow it's very quietly captivating.
That's what it. Yes, quietly captivating is a great way to put it.
Yeah. So we're definitely checking it out. And then on your love for it, it's not really Katie's thing. She may jump on board, but I started Wednesday.
It's just fun.
And I've never been an Addams Family fan, but I watched the first episode and was like, okay, this is cool.
I wasn't crazy about who they cast as Uncle Fester, but he played it well.
Yeah, he hasn't shown up yet for me, but I'm looking forward to watching the rest. Again, it reminded me, and not that, Harry Potter on its own is kind of dark and gothy, but I was like, this is like goth Harry Potter there. They send her off to this special school and all this stuff.
And you were saying the post about Talking Heads didn't go to practice. There's a lot of great bands kind of mentioned or played in this.
Oh, yeah.
Especially that viral dance that everybody's talking about.
Oh, the Tramps. Sure, absolutely.
So a lot of kids are getting turned on to some good music.
Hey, if it gets people to learn about the past and where the music they love today came from and the bands that started it, man, I'm all about that.
I saw a reel today on my Instagram where someone posted like, who is this? I need to know the name of this song and this band because they're pretty cool. And it was B-52's Private Idaho.
I'm glad people are asking, but it hurts me in the heart.
Like, whoever this is, these guys are going to be huge.
Yeah, they were. Ouch. Speaking of music, though, unrelated to that kind of music, now veering back to country, the cool Blake Shelton story, and the way your take on this, I think, is pretty interesting.
Yeah, I just took this a different way than most people. Blake Shelton made a post the other night where he goes, hey, I've wanted this song to be released to radio. I loved it so much, I put it on 2 different albums, and the record label never would release it to radio. And I think it was called I Don't Care. He sings it. He's just sitting at the kitchen table and sings it. If you get a chance to go on his Instagram and listen to it. But it's a great song, country song. But what I love is about today's world. In the old days, you either had to have the album to hear those songs, and like he said, I put it on 2 albums to try to get the record label to release it, and they wouldn't do it. Now he can sit down. He's got how many millions of followers he has and go, this is a song I really wanted everybody to hear. It may start streaming now and become a hit. He doesn't really need radio right now to make a hit because he can go, okay, I've got 50 million streams on the song I love that I wanted everybody to hear.
And that's such a cool thing too, because I know as fans, how many times have you, if you're old enough to still buy whole albums, you buy a record and maybe your favorite song on that record never gets released as a single. So then back in the golden days, kids, you wanted to hear your favorite song on the radio because it mattered. It was important to hear your song on the radio. So if they didn't release it as a single, you didn't get to hear it on the radio. You couldn't just jump on the internet and find it.
I was distraught. Raised on Radio, Journey. They had a song called Could Have Been You that I loved.
Great song.
Didn't release it.
Yeah. So I love that Blake's getting into this. I think you're right. When you have that many people following, it's easy to go viral. Who knows what he might be able to turn that song into now.
Yeah, he might be able to turn it into a streaming hit, which is just as valuable nowadays. And he's getting the song that he wanted people to hear out there.
Well, yeah, and as the artist, shouldn't you have the right to do that.
Yeah.
I would love to hear some of your thoughts. If you have like a song that you loved on somebody's album and it was never released as a single or never, they never made a video or whatever, it just kind of was this little album cut, stick it in the comments because it's a great way to discover some awesome new music.
And again, going back to the point of now that streaming's there, that gives opportunity. I remember when You Look Good in My Shirt, Keith Urban came out, and we were like, before it was a single, we were like, that's got to be a single. And Keith goes, I want it to be, but the record label said, no, we got to get to the next album. And then he ended up putting it on a greatest hits, and it got released and became a number one for him. But and I think even the greatest hits was out, the first edition, without it on there. And he went and said, please put it on. So they made a second printing and put it on the second printing.
You got to do what you got to do to get those songs out there.
But yeah, there's a story. And they're like Alabama. Katie Brought My Guitar Back Today. I love that song.
I mean, almost every album I ever bought in my teens, especially, my favorite song was never a radio song.
Well, radio had this formula for a while where you got to have 2 tempos and a ballad. And it was like, then maybe if it's a hit album, a 4th single.
A tempo is a song that's fast.
Yeah. And I just don't think that's fair because 2 ballads may be the best 2 songs on the album.
Yeah. Don't you want the best material to be what gets out there?
So anyhow, I'm so excited about streaming because of that.
Yeah. The one that comes to my mind, and we won't spend a ton because again, just put them in the comments, but Chicago 19, and it had a bunch of hits on it. It had Look Away. It had What Kind of Man Would I Be?
We Can Last Forever.
Yes. So, but the song that I loved the most on that was the album closer, and it was like a 6-minute song called Victorious that Robert Lamb sang. He's one of the old school members of the band. And I was like, this would never be played on the radio.
Yeah.
But God, I love that song.
So long story short, if you go listen to the Blake Shelton on his socials, post in there that you heard it from us to go listen to it because he hates us.
Long-running feud.
Yep.
For sure.
It's just the bar tab we ran up at his Gatlinburg Old Red.
Okay. So this is nothing to do with any of that stuff, but something funny happened to me a couple days ago. So as I mentioned earlier, Betty, our pit bull, she's battling cancer and kicking its ass, which I love, but she's got a really severe UTI that we're working on right now to try to fix, obviously. We're trying to make it worse somehow. So the vet called to let us know that they were done the other day with what they were doing. And the lady said, I noticed you have a 760 area code. I said, yeah, it's Southern California. And she said, I'm a 760 as well. And she grew up in like Palm Desert, and we spent a great deal of time in San Diego, California, which is really where I feel like my home is. That always felt like home to me. It felt like I was in the right place, raised kids there. So that's really why I kept it. And I got to thinking about it, and it's almost like, because now you can change your phone number at a whim.
Yes.
But most people, if you see their number and see what the area code is, it's probably from wherever their favorite place is, the favorite place they've lived, or the place that means the most to them.
I would agree with that.
It's good because you're still a 615.
Yes.
Which is the Nashville area code. Katie is still a 707, which is San Francisco. That's where she's from. And I don't know why I thought of that. It was like, it's interesting. You can learn a lot about a person. Do you love where you live? Or you just don't care? Or is it something where it's like, I don't want to lose that number. That's part of me. That's part of who I am.
Well, I was on a habit when I was single of changing my number every 2 years for various reasons.
We had burner phones. and you were right to do so.
But now I don't need to change my number, and I'm fine with the 615 because I love Nashville. That's where a lot of fun times were, and that's where we're going to be probably ending up because of all of our business.
Yeah. And then on that subject, when I mentioned that, Katie was like, well, it's like your email. So if you don't know this about me, and you probably don't, only a few do, I've had the same email address since I had email. The first email I ever had was in 1995, maybe.
Something like that.
Somewhere around that point. Bought our first computer, and I got the AOL disk that you used to get, and I got an AOL account. That's what everybody used AOL back then. I mean, you've got mail. That was the thing. And then, over time, obviously, so much has changed, and so many, Hotmail, Yahoo, all these different things have come and gone. But I was like, well, I've already got this email address. I've already given it to people. I really don't feel like changing that. And then it became a game to a certain point. Then it was like, okay, well, now people will kind of make fun of me, like, really? AOL? I'm like, yes, I know. I said, but I can't change it, and I don't intend to.
Well, you'd be crazy to change it now.
Yeah, so it's funny how that goes. And you mentioned something before the show. It's like, what if someday AOL hangs it up and they shut down? I don't know what I'll do.
I think it'd be a party situation. Like, we could have a countdown. We could do a poll question. What email service should he go with?
I mean, I've got a couple of Gmails for business stuff, but that is my one. Like, my own son the other day was going to send me something. He said, "Is this still your email?" I said, "Yeah, it's still the one." It blew his mind. So if there's anybody out there who has kept the same email address longer than since 1995, if you think you can top me, I'd like to hear about that.
That's something else.
I don't know. I don't think it's possible. You can tie me, maybe. I don't think anybody can beat me.
No, I don't think anybody can.
Yeah, that's the internet. I mean, there was no internet before that, really. So anyway. Okay, so now we told you about Frozen. It's a movie that everybody knows. If you have kids or if you're of a certain age, you've watched it a million times.
Mm-hmm.
And Let It Go. Do you want to build a snowman? I mean, it's iconic.
Billions of dollars. And I mean, there's the Frozen on Ice. And I'm sure there's a Broadway play. If it's not already happening, it's in the works. And I mean, Frozen 3's coming this year. I mean, there's just so much.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a monster of a moneymaker for Disney, which is great. But why did they make that movie? Now, usually when you hear about people making movies, you think, okay, well, somebody had an idea and they pitched it, and they're basing it off another story, and that's Disney's big move. Not so in this case.
Allegedly, Disney got tired of people Googling Frozen and Walt Disney.
If you didn't know this already, here's something you may not realize. The rumor forever has been when Walt Disney died, they froze his head, like they cryo-froze it so that perhaps down the road somewhere, if the technology was there, they could bring him back. And the rumor was that they keep it on the property at Disneyland. It's somewhere in the castle. It's whatever. So these things have been flying around forever, and Disney executives got sick and tired of having every Google search start out with
Walt Disney's head.
Yeah, being
so
frozen.
Now, if you look up Frozen and Walt Disney, you're going to see nothing but movie stuff about Frozen. So supposedly, the only reason why we have this great movie that everybody loves is because they were like, man, we are sick of people Googling Walt Disney's head.
We want to manipulate the Google search engine and fix this problem. Go out and make a movie that's awesome so we can do that.
So that's just a rumor, but it's pretty interesting.
It makes a lot of sense, and it's exactly the kind of stuff that you can imagine Disney executives worrying about.
Yep.
And caring about and wanting to do something about. The internet. And speaking of the internet, this week we have a very special edition of Internet that made us laugh. Now, we always look for funny memes and tweets and what have you, but I came across an article, and I think it's very appealing to anybody. If you've ever read Craigslist, or if you've ever used Craigslist, you probably have a story along the way somewhere of meeting or encountering a weirdo, because it's full of them.
It's true.
There's a lot of great people, too. I mean, I've bought and sold stuff off Craigslist. It's awesome. But we wanted to share with you just a few of the most bizarre Craigslist listings or ads or announcements that we've ever seen.
It just seems weird that weird things would be on Craigslist.
Of all places. So let's dive in here with a special edition. So we're going to start with this one. And this one, believe it or not, is one of the more normal ones. I mean, it's still terrible, but somewhat normal. Need Girl Scout cookies from a grown-up. I'd like to buy 5 Thin Mints, 5 Tagalongs, 2 trefoils, 1 lemon chalet cream. I'm not allowed within 300 yards of a minor, so I'll have to buy the cookies from an adult. I'll meet you wherever necessary.
Okay, what scares me about this is I'm sure the Girl Scouts have an online site that you could go buy and have it delivered to your home or whatever. But say, I'll buy them from somebody, but I need to...
It's just... I mean, it's gross.
Yeah, it's just, there's a lot of creepiness there.
And then there's some of these you look at and you go, well, clearly this is a joke.
You would hope.
I mean, because like this one, this has got to be a joke. The Artifact, 2003 Nissan Altima beige driver's side door handle, signed by George Washington. I don't know why that strikes me so funny, because it's clearly, not.
Well, I mean, it could be somebody named George Washington signed it.
I guess that's true. You go back to Seinfeld, John Voight.
Yes.
John Voight's car.
Yes.
Maybe we're onto something here. Maybe even better than the George Washington autograph. How about this one? God, Jesus, Satan, signed in person Bible, $10 million.
Signed in person.
For sale, $10 million or best offer, rarest signatures ever. And then if you look closely in the picture, stay cool, John, God, have a good summer, Jesus.
Jesus H. Christ or just Jesus?
Just Jesus. Always nice to meet a fan. You're what keeps me going, Satan.
I'm just picturing like Jesus at the Last Supper, like the disciples telling people like, let's move along now, the line, and him just signing the Bibles and moving them along. Say, we got to eat here pretty soon because it's going to be sundown.
Yeah, we have things to do. Judas is over there tapping his watch.
Yeah, like, come on, let's move this along.
Okay. I love this one. The shoe. Converse sneakers. Fake, but it's not obvious if you walk fast. Convince fashion style. So somebody knew what they were doing with this shoe. I love that. This one, when you have to say the phrase more than once, if you say it once, it's already weird.
Yeah.
The frog. Where can I buy a frog? Not for sexual reasons. I'm in the market for a frog, but I don't know where or what kind of frog I want to get. I would like the frog, not for sexual reasons, to be blue. So he had to say it again, and that's where it gets fishy for me. So any information is helpful. Yeah.
And he needs it to be blue or doesn't?
He says he would like the frog to be blue, but not for sexual reasons. I mean,
I'm glad he was.
Where I'm from, when somebody says something like that more than once, that's exactly what they want it for.
Exactly. It's like, why would you need to say that?
Not good. This one, mummified cat, slam dunking a mummified bird. Who would think to do this, and who would want to buy it?
Somebody does, clearly.
Oh, and this is an older one. You may have seen this one before, but I still love it. Be naked at my sister's wedding. My sister's having an outdoor wedding in New Canaan, Connecticut in May. I want someone to be naked in the woods and to run through the wedding in order to ruin it. I will protect you from my family.
I love everything about this.
If you don't spend time on Craigslist, these are some great examples of why you should. And these are not even the weirdest ones we found. We just figured we didn't want to cross too many lines. But wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, finally, before we say goodbye today, after our last show, which had a pretty substantial, it's not a rumor, it's true, but we just couldn't give much, so it made it sound kind of rumor-ish. You wouldn't believe how our DMs blew up, our text line, with people just going, hey,
who is it?
Tell me, who is it? Now, if you had subscribed to the channel, you would have already seen that show. Maybe you're new. Maybe you didn't know this was a thing. You may want to go back and watch it. We're going to link it here at the end. But this is not how it works. We don't say on the show, we can't say anything more. We're not going to say anything more.
Yeah.
And then you DM us and say, tell me, and we tell you.
And we're just not going to do it because it's his story to tell.
We wanted to give what we knew because we thought it was worth a mention, but we're not going to be the ones who force the issue.
Now, I'll say this, too. If you don't know what we're talking about, you didn't see the last show, so shame on you. And there's an easy way to see all of our shows.
Subscribe.
Yep.
You're here.
Hit the notification thing.
Super easy. Hit the bell. You'll get notified when we put new content up. Well, we do a couple new shows a week. We drop shorts and stuff. We drop shorts. Ha!
Those are adults only.
We put up other content as well. Some of it's like a short. Some of it's in between. It's all here. It's going to do nothing but grow in 2023, and that's all thanks to you. We appreciate you. For those of you who already subscribed, stop DMing us and asking us who that artist is. We're not going to tell you. All right. We will see you next time. Thanks a lot.